Welcome everybody. Welcome to this yoga session. My name is Asha and I am a yoga teacher. I've been teaching and practicing yoga for the last 15 years. I am originally from India. I was born and brought up in India. I started to seek out and want to learn about yoga for myself in my early 20s. That's when I kind of went on my own individual curiosity journey and started to explore, learn, and study yoga. That was in 2010. So it's been a while, and it really did kind of catalyze my life. I was never planning to become a yoga teacher. I was never kind of looking at this as a career or a profession or anything of that. It was really a way to learn about myself. And that just led from one thing to the next to the next. And here I am 15 years later, still teaching, still practicing, still absolutely devoted and in love with a very grounded spiritual practice that the efficacy is mind-blowing. You know, it's been something that has lasted the test of time. It is something that is still in 2026. You know, this was discovered over 5,000 to 6,000 years ago, and it's still being found and tried for the first time in 2026 and still providing benefits. So that is something that continuously brings me so much excitement, so much just awe at the power of this practice. Now, what makes this practice so unique? Well, first and foremost, the basis of yoga philosophy is coming from a presupposition that everything is from consciousness. Everything is a part of consciousness. So even our body, the material world we see, the matter, in its most nascent form, is consciousness, is a living consciousness. So we start to understand the body from this premise. The second thing that makes it so incredible is that the only things you need to practice yoga is what you already have within you. Your body, your own mind, and your breath. These three aspects of the self, when brought together into union, you naturally arrive in the state of yoga. You are already experiencing yoga. The second you become present to your breath, to this moment, this is yoga. And there is really nothing outside of yourself that is needed to practice. Yes, a mat is nice. It gives us a little cushioning on the ground if we're, on a hard surface. Yes, these props are going to be supportive and helpful. That's great. That's great that we have these external tools to support our yoga practice, but essentially all that's needed is the ability to be able to sit comfortably for a period of time, to be able to connect from within to the consciousness, to the source from which we all come from. Okay, so this kind of expands this idea of yoga. No, it's not directly related to India, though it does come and originate from India. The roots of yoga do come from India, but it has expanded and traveled and touched people all across the globe, whether they've been to India or not. If you have a genuine desire, if you are coming with the right intention, and if you are seeking healing, maybe you are seeking some type of balance, maybe you are seeking something, and you're coming with that pure intention, yoga will work for you no matter what your background, what your race is, what your parents, what your nothing. You don't have to be religious. You don't even have to be anti-religion. There is nothing that you have to be. Just open and willing to experience yourself. Okay? So that's exciting. Now, the third amazing aspect of yoga is that just practicing will provide you many benefits, but you can also come with a specific goal or desire, to be able to maybe find peace in your mind, to be able to quiet your mind, to be able to deal with the constant fluctuations, as they call in yoga. So the constant movement of the mind, jumping from one thought to the next, a concern, a worry, the past, the future. Like that's the mind. Being able to understand that and bring it into cessation, into stillness. This is, in the Yoga Sutras, the greatest gift of yoga that it can give you. It can also help you physically in your body to build strength, to open up and build flexibility, mobility, space, deal with issues in the body where we might feel weak or pain or soreness, tension. All of these we can deal with, right? And the most beautiful and purpose of this specific yoga course is using yoga and the tools of yoga to regulate our nervous system. This was a big deal for me, a really big deal for me, because even though I'd been practicing yoga for so long, I was still living in chronic stress. I had a lot of traumatic experiences growing up, and recently in the last 5 to 6 years ago, started a series of very traumatic experiences that caused me to be in fight and flight for a long period of time. And at that time, even my own yoga practice was quite hard to do, to be able to sit in stillness, to be able, and so then I had a very, I would say, critical mind against myself, because, as a yoga teacher, how can I not be able to have a quiet mind or have a strong, healthy body? Why am I dealing with all these emotional, physical, mental discomforts and disease or illnesses? So I started to feel a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and forcing myself to sit for longer periods of meditation, or forcing myself to push myself harder and harder, eventually just bringing me into bigger and bigger collapse in my body and in my nervous system, because it was so already doing more than its job to try to constantly relax and release this stressful, anxious experience that culminated and then had started to kind of overtake my whole life. You know, this came from specific life experiences that had happened. And in 2023, I was shockingly, I would say, because not in my wildest dreams could I ever imagine that this was something that could happen to me. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, an autoimmune disease where your body stops producing insulin and it never produces it again. And if you don't start taking insulin, medical insulin from medicine created insulin, I would die. Like, that's just the short and long of it. And that kind of completely flipped the entire script of how I was living my life. And it kind of really brought me to this point of like, oh my God, how do I go on from here? How do I deal with this physical health crisis? And how am I going to now live a healthy life? And it took me on a very deep, very necessary and genuine journey of, I know nothing, I need to start again from scratch. I need to see how I can use yoga as medicine to heal. Because through the diabetes, I'd realized I had been suffering in this chronic state for so long that it had become my normal. I wasn't even aware of how chronically stressful and dangerous it was. I just kind of dealt with it. Being in fight and flight, being in survival mode, that is kind of the go. You just deal with it the best you can. You kind of push the rest away and you keep going because you're in survival, you know. I need a job. I'm in a new country. I have nothing, you know. I need to start from scratch. If I don't, who is going to do that for me, you know? So it was a very survival place that I was in for a long time. While not surviving, and my body took that toll and came out in this autoimmune condition. I've come such a long way from there to now see it as a gift, see it as a way of really grounding me back into my body. Like there's no escaping from this. There's no way I can escape it. It is with me 24/7. And changing my perspective from seeing it as something that's debilitating and is negative to something that's actually, wow, this is the greatest way to bring me to a place of self-devotion. A place where I'm so thankful and grateful for what my body does. I'm so thankful and grateful for the miraculous gift of life. And I am devoted to my vessel, to the consciousness that has come within this body, that has for whatever reason chosen to be on this earth at this time, and for whatever finite period I've left. This is my path, to be devoted to my own consciousness and to be compassionate with my own human experience that I live with in this body, in this mind, the traumas that I have gone through, the experiences I have had, to give it its necessary attention, time, and space to heal, to see what learnings, lessons, and gifts all of these situations and experiences have come to show me. And this is truly embodying the path of being and knowing that we are consciousness, but within a physical, mortal reality. Okay, the reality of this body is it's going to die. This is a mortal body. But what resides inside it, that is immortal, that is infinite, that lives on forever and ever and ever. And we can access and have direct experiences of this immortal, infinite part of ourselves, which in yoga they call the Atman, the seed of consciousness, which never dies. In yoga we say what is real can never die. What can die is only temporary. So don't be attached to what is temporary, because what is real will never die. It is always with you. Infinite love, infinite consciousness, infinity of the soul experience, you know, that is always with us, that will always live on, and we can directly access that through meditation, through stillness, through being introspective and simply observing with curiosity our inner world. What is beyond the mind, if we could rest in our own inner nature, we may start to experience parts of us that is not attached to the mind, that is not attached to the everyday needs of the body, that's not attached to this physical reality, that can be experienced directly. And this is the beauty of yoga. People are capable of directly accessing and experiencing what is beyond matter, what is beyond form, through the vehicle of the body. So that's what we do in yoga. We use asana to help prepare the body so that it feels both strong, stable, okay, this is very essential, and open and at ease, so that we are not distracted by pain and suffering in the body, and we can move towards the inner practices. Pranayama, cultivating, this is our direct link to the unseen world, right? We know we have breath, we're experiencing breath, but we can't visibly see our breath. But we know without breath we are not alive. So that itself is a direct correlation to matter, which is seen, breath, which is unseen. These two worlds coming together. Through pranayama practice, we get to directly experience the flow of prana. In yoga, we call prana life force. So the flow of life force within you. So we have pranayama practices for that. Pratyahara practices. This is my absolute favorite. Pratyahara practices are when we start to turn our five senses inwards. Okay, so it's withdrawing our five senses, withdrawing the stimulation of our five senses that are constantly focusing outwards, being stimulated by the outside world, what we see, what we hear. You know, we're turning that inward. We're closing our eyes. We're turning our awareness inwards to perceive and connect to our inner world. Pratyahara, beautiful practice, necessary practice. And really for me, it was the best way to experience meditation, to get into the meditative state. Yoga Nidra is a Pratyahara practice, and one that I absolutely fell in love with. I think it's from the first one I've had in my yoga ashram shala in Bangalore, where I first learned, and just loved it and held on to it and studied it and learned more and more. And it's so wild to me that now, 15 years later than when I started learning about Yoga Nidra, I'm learning in science, in the Western world of science, all the scientific backing and background that is now supporting Yoga Nidra practices as the latest in science. So how wild is that? So I love seeing these like loops and how it's kind of all coming back together, how science is explaining and bringing more basis, understanding of foundation and efficacy to 1,000-year-old practices that have been around way before science, you know? After withdrawing the senses, pratyahara, then we start to move to dhyana. Dhyana is being able to learn how to focus our mind, focused attention. Okay, for me and for most people, this is one of the most hardest things to do, because the mind, and especially for me too, the mind, like we all understand, this day and age that we live in, it is priming our mind to constantly be in ADHD. Right? To be able to focus and stay committed to something for a period of time is less and less, more and more rare, less and less easy to do. And then dhyana. Dhyana is the effortless state of meditation when you're able to simply rest in your being. You're able to stay with the mind focused for a period of time. That period of time gets longer and longer naturally. This is dhyana. And samadhi, the state of purely bliss, resting in that your own soul, in your own direct experience, having that direct experience. I think the samadhi is direct experience. No one can give you samadhi. Nobody can give you samadhi. It's not something you can go and buy at a yoga studio. You know, none of that. Samadhi is given by divine grace. So in yoga practices, we focus on the things we can. The body, the nervous system, the mind, meditation, all these different aspects. And then we allow, through cultivating these practices, we start to naturally experience deeper and deeper states of the self. Nobody can give this to you. Nobody can show you this in a movie. No one can't go to a retreat and get some samadhi. anyone giving you Kundalini awakening. Oh, no, none of that. None of that. The only true spiritual practice is being able to embody what you learn, the spiritual truths that you learned, that you become aware of, to be able to more deeply and deeply embody that in this body, in this present moment on earth, as you are, in your humanity, with all of that. Making room through compassion for every aspect of the self, the human, and the divine. There's a spark of divinity in each human being, and this is what we are acknowledging when we say namaste. Namaste is, I acknowledge that the light in you is the same light that is within me, and I bow to that. I bow to that. This is namaste. Okay? So when we kind of understand this fuller picture of what is yoga, it's a philosophy, it's a way of living where we are living in accordance with our own true nature, which is we all come from consciousness, we are made from consciousness, we'll return to consciousness. And for a short period of time, we are born into this matter, into this physical body. So we are going to practice some yoga. We are going to use the body, use our observation, use our breathing practices as a way to bring our awareness inwards and spend some time to observe our physical body, emotional body, mental body. If anything arises, allow it to be. Okay? Nothing is wrong, nothing is pushed away. Everything is given the space of unconditional love. And for me, that was the biggest practice to learn in this journey to self-devotion, to devoting myself to my own experience in this lifetime, was unconditional love. What does that truly mean on a very practical level for me? You know, with my experiences that I've been through, I can see from a perspective now that all the times I was struggling so much, I was not showing or giving myself any compassion or love. In fact, I was being very critical, very hard on myself, condemning to myself, shaming myself, guilting myself. Even the times when I did do something that I felt was morally wrong or unethical, or I was unaware of something I did, and then later I realized, oh, that was wrong. Self-forgiveness, not condemning and punishing myself. That was really a trip, learning to dismantle all the negative ways I treated myself for 30 plus years, and showing up for myself in a way that I'd never done before in my life, that I never even knew how to, that I felt I had to be worthy and had to earn love. And only if I produced was I worthy. Only if I produced or did something good for someone else did it make me a worthy individual. And shifting that into something that's more grounded on reality and truth, that no person needs to do anything to be deserving of love. We exist, therefore we are loved. It's as simple and as honest as that. But to really feel that and to live from that space is the practice, is the devotion, is the showing up every day and recommitting to myself, recommitting to my journey, recommitting to the space I'm in this moment, and giving it the honor that it requires, so that I can continue to do that moment by moment as I continue through my journey in life. And the interesting thing is, when we shift our perspective on ourselves, everything else in our body and mind starts to shift. Why is this? Because the nervous system, the mind, the body, everything follows our core beliefs about ourselves. So if we shift and change everything on the external, what we wear, how we dress, we may go to the gym, make our body look so good, we may go to the doctor and get a bunch of Botox in our face, we can keep shifting and shifting everything on the external, but till we tap into the root core beliefs of how we see ourselves, we will continue to show up in a way that sabotages and continues to perpetuate the inner suffering, sabotages what it is that we truly seek and want. Love, for example, I truly seek and want love, therefore I betray myself to earn the trust of another. I betray myself so that I can be the way that I think my partner desires me to be, so therefore my partner will give me the love that I seek. All of these ways trying to earn or be deserving of love, when really the whole time love comes from within. And the only person that was withholding love from myself was me. Critically, constantly barraging, condemning myself, and then going and seeking how I could be the perfect partner for someone else, or the perfect this, or the perfect that, so that they would love me. And then I could say, see, that person loves you, so you're lovable. Meanwhile, in my mind, I'm holding the story, you're not lovable, you have to earn love, you're so shit. You know, that constant looping. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey of recommitting to myself, seeing all the ways I had betrayed myself in hopes of earning love. And coming back to myself, to my heart, to my soul, to being curious about, okay, I don't know how to love myself, but I'm willing to learn. And when the moments come when I feel so broken, I feel so disappointed in my body failing me, you know, my body didn't fail me when I got diabetes. My body was just finally saying, it's had enough. It's done as much as it could to get me this far. It's had enough. It needs a break. And I wasn't able to stop. I wasn't able to listen. I was running on a core belief that if I stopped, who am I? What am I worth? I can't stop. I have to keep producing, showing up, otherwise I'm worth nothing. And to me, that I think was the most terrifying secret I was holding inside my body, that for a long time I couldn't even be aware of to myself. And so the journey from that, how does that look practically? Well, it's showing up for myself in a way that I'd never done before, day by day. What does that look like to love myself in a way that honors who I am, my experiences, and brings out the best that I have to offer? Forgiveness practice, one of the biggest ones in my life right now, being able to forgive myself. This has been a really crazy life now. You don't even deserve forgiveness coming from that type of no. But to be able to look at myself and realize, wow, you've been through a lot. And a lot of times, It's not like I meant to hurt or do something on purpose. There was a part that was not aware, to show that part of me compassion and forgiveness, to know that if I could have done better, I would have. So give myself a break. Every single human being has their stuff. There's not a single person on the face of the planet that doesn't have their stuff to deal with. No one is perfect, not a soul on this earth. We are not meant to be perfect as human beings. Human beings, we are extremely flawed. Extremely flawed. And it is divine grace, divine unconditional love that truly helps you break through and move past being stuck in our human ego and faults and blaming and constructs, to realize, yes, we are human in a human body having human experiences, but we are also part of and connected to infinite source love. We can tap into that at any time. We can connect to that anytime. And here's where my mantra and meditation practices become so vital, because that's how I connect. That's how I realign myself to divine, loving energy. You know, there's one path of yoga just called Bhakti Yoga, which is pure devotion to consciousness, to God consciousness, you know, to the divine consciousness. And through singing and through expressing the language of the heart, loving kindness, we connect to and can live from that devotion. This is Bhakti Yoga. There's another style of yoga called Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga, another beautiful, pure knowledge where you seek out understanding and knowledge to help you to learn what is true, what is real, and what's not. And through shifting through all that is not real, neti, not this, not this, not this, when we move past all what is not real, we arrive at what is left. And that is the most beautiful thing that you can discover on your own. What is left when I remove everything that is not real? What is left? This is Jnana Yoga. And then Raja Yoga is the one that pretty much everyone here in the West does, through the body, through the path of the body, through discipline, really. Ashtanga, all these asana practices that we do, through discipline, through pure tenacity and commitment to our practice, we start to learn and understand more. This is the path of the body, Raja Yoga. There are so many different styles and paths. So don't think that you have to get yourself stuck in, oh, I saw yoga in a fitness kind of class style, exercise class. That's just maybe 1% of millions of different ways that you could practice and connect to the consciousness that is around and within us, right? So the body, yes, maybe you feel good and you already have fitness practices. So maybe you can do more pranayama, maybe you can do more pratyahara, maybe you can do more meditation, maybe you can explore other types of practices other than just fitness, asana. Maybe you really love asana practices, you are enjoying it. After every class, you're feeling sattvic, balanced. This is beautiful. Keep coming, keep learning. I have asana practices my whole of my 15 years of, and I will for the rest of my life keep doing asana practices, because I can feel how much they benefit my body, how they shift my mental state, and then it helps me to sit for meditation. So there is no one way to do yoga. This is the right way. Anyone who comes and says, this is the path, this is the one and only path, this is the right way, only Ashtanga, only Hatha, only Kundalini, run. If you come to yoga, come with a sincere desire to connect to your own self. And then see what practices help you to achieve that. And explore a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. Go to different classes, go to different teachers, explore. Find out what you like. Try different things. Don't get stuck in one box. If you do find one specific practice or specific teacher that really you resonate with, that is wonderful. This is when you can go deeper. This is when you can really start to ask the questions that are personal to you, that you can start to maybe cultivate a more self-practice, which is really what I love the most. Being able to empower my students and being able to empower individuals to practice on their own at home, when they're traveling, to always know, oh, I'm feeling a little bit out of balance, I feel a little being pulled in all different directions, I'm feeling my mind's really busy, I'm not able to sleep, whatever the reason is. I know I can get onto my yoga mat and in 10 to 15 minutes, I can start to come back into balance, into stability, into my own self, into my own body. This is what I love. So whether that be helping you find a self-practice that is more asana based or more pranayama based or more pratyahara or meditation, we might explore further than that, maybe more philosophy or maybe more dynamic meditation. It's endless, and that's so fun for me, to explore different ways that you can find and cultivate in yoga. We call sadhana, so that's your commitment to your spiritual path. That's your sadhana, your practice, to find and cultivate a self-practice that works for you as an individual. Okay, not a cookie cutter cut from a box. Everyone in the room is doing the same thing, even though we all come from completely different backgrounds, different traumas, different physical, mental, and spiritual abilities, and yet we're all doing the same thing. This is also fine, but don't put yourself in a box saying it can only be this or it can only be that. Explore. Find what works for you and start to build your own self-practice would be my greatest tip as someone who truly is genuinely interested and curious in understanding themselves as a human and also as a spiritual consciousness, also as a consciousness, so I think that's good for now. We're going to just let that simmer, let that settle, let that start to integrate. Whatever of that little chat maybe spoke to you, let that kind of just sit in your being and let it open you up in ways that feel authentic and organic to you, and then you can take the next step from there. So let's start off with some yoga practice now. So what we're going to do today is use very simple asana to, in a very gentle way, open up the body and start to deepen our breathing, focusing our mind onto our body and breath. The first asana we're going to do is using the bolster like so. We're then going to lie onto the bolster. So you might see immediately as I lie onto the bolster, my entire breath container is gently expanded. The breath container starts at the base of our spine, our pelvic floor, and fills right up to our collarbones, okay? So this is the capacity that we have in our body to breathe. A lot of times, that's not what we're doing. We're probably only breathing 40 to 50% of our capacity. Shallow breathing. As soon as we start feeling anxiety, stress, our breathing shifts, changes, becomes shallow, maybe a little faster, maybe not very deep and slow. So what we're going to do today is really experience what it's like to breathe slow, deeply, and consciously for a period of time while gently opening and expanding our breath container. I'm using these little blocks to give a little support so I'm not overextending in the hips, but just gain a nice gentle release. Nothing too intense that will take my focus away from my breathing, so I do want to be very comfortable and relaxed. The next thing we're going to do is start to bring our palms onto the breath container. So one onto the belly, the other onto the chest, and just take a moment to check that your shoulders, neck, and face, all the muscles are completely relaxed. And now I want you to very gently and slowly begin to breathe into the palm that's on the belly, and then breathing out. So starting only with the belly, just breathing into the palm, breathing out. Just do this for a few more slow, deep, conscious breaths. And after your next breath, just come back to natural breathing. Next one, let's breathe into the hand that's on the chest. So breathing into the ribs, right up to the collarbones. And do that a few rounds. And then coming back to your natural breathing. Okay, now I want you to breathe into both hands. So this is our full yogic breath. Breathing into the belly, into the ribs, into the chest, right up to the collarbones. And then breathing out as slowly as you can, releasing every bit of the breath out of your body. And now I want you to move your hands over to the side. Let your arms relax completely. Shoulders relax completely. Now using only your own mind to feel and connect to your breath. Keep going. A few more rounds. Just feeling the movement of your breath with your mind. Let's finish our last round. And then return to your natural breathing. Just observe your overall experience. Gently blinking the eyes open. We're going to come out nice and slow. Bring the knees together. Just roll it over to one side. And slowly coming back to sit. Okay. So next what we're going to do, we're going to open out the legs. We're just going to very gently walk the blocks forward. See how far you could go. Take a breath in. Exhale. Folding. Calm breathing. If it feels good, and if the body allows, you can bring the blocks a little bit lower. Let your body go a little bit more into the posture. If it feels really good, completely okay, there's no strain or pain, then we can relax all the way into the arm. Slowly walking the palms back towards you. Inhale, raising the arms up, interlocking the fingers and just giving that spine a nice, good stretch. And release. And then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to stretch over to the side. So choose one leg. We're going to bring our blocks either side of the leg. We're going to twist a little bit from the torso so that you're kind of facing and looking towards one leg. The other leg just keeping exactly as is, okay? So we're not going to drop in, keeping it open, foot is flexed, just a nice aligned position. And then, as best you can, walk the blocks out either side of your one leg. Stretch, release, breathe. I would like to say 5 slow, deep breaths is a good number. And then we're going to take the front arm, lift it up, back, around, and touch it to the other. So we're just getting that little bit more openness through the side body. And then we're going to inhale up, both arms, exhale, release. switching the side. So same thing over to the other side. Walking the blocks out as far as they go. And release. 5 breaths. And then opening, side body stretch. And back up. Let's take our palm, just scoop them underneath the knees back in. Give them a little cuddle. Relax. Now we're just going to prepare for a twist. So we're going to take one leg, bend, the other over. Opposite hand raises, inhale. Twisting, exhale. Ooh. Inhale, exhale, switching. Same thing to the other side. Inhale, exhale. Okay, our final is our seated forward fold. Okay, so we all have different capacities and how much we can move forward. The first thing I want you to just notice is, are you able to sit with a neutral pelvic floor and a neutral hip? If you're leaning back quite a bit, that's when you want to sit on your block or your bolster to help lift your hips a little bit. That'll help you to start from a neutral base, right? If you are able to sit starting from neutral, then I want you to give a little bit of a lift up with the spine. Okay, a little lift up with the inhale, and then the exhale, you're going to hinge from the hip and release forward only as much as you can. Use your block if you like for some support, and rest. Here we can go 5 to 10 breaths as needed. Okay, for some of us, this is good. We now feel ready to sit for a comfortable period of, for a good 10 to 15 minutes. Sitting comfortably, aligned, and able to now move into our meditative practices. Okay, so doing this every day, this is wonderful. You know, just 10 to 15 minutes, gently kind of slowing down, moving external distractions, no phone. If you have kids, maybe having them do something so you have that time on your own. If you have a partner, letting them know, I'm taking the next 10 minutes. This is for my yoga time, right? And then perhaps 10 to 15 minutes ideally is good for releasing tension, preparing the body, and now for 10 to 15 minutes sitting in comfortable seated position. Okay, so this can be any way you like that feels comfortable to you. Crossing the legs, or you can sit in Vajrasana, sitting on the heels. You can sit on a cushion. You can also sit with your back against the wall, and I really like this in the beginning because then you kind of have something to position your spine against. You can really feel the alignment. Shoulders can relax. So take a few moments just to settle into your seated meditation position, whatever that is for you. Check any points of tension. For me, it's definitely always right in my jaw. So just moving it around a bit. Shoulders relaxed. Come back to your calm, focused breathing. And then once you're comfortable, just bringing the awareness up to the mind space. With eyes closed, gazing at the space behind the forehead. Now allow your breath to move freely, releasing all control over the breath. If you need to do a little adjustment like I do, go ahead. And then return to your comfortable, still position. If you notice your mind's wandering, just bring it right back, focusing to the space behind the forehead, and just watching, witnessing your own mind. You are the observer, the awareness, just watching. And allowing everything to be as it is. Let's take the arms up as you inhale. Palms coming down the center line of the body as you exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Palms to the heart center. Taking a moment to express gratitude to yourself for making this time to show up for your own inner well-being, mind and body. And coming to the end of our meditative practice, palms together, rubbing the palms, creating some warmth, some heat between the palms. And then we're going to take the palms, press them over the eyes, onto the face, gently blinking the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your presence. See you in the next one.